Hey kiddos, so let's try this. We are going to go over the rocking chair. It was your week 1 assignment for reading class while we are out on our extended spring break. So the first thing I want you to do when you get any STAAR passage is look at the text features and try and figure out what genre it is. So right here we have our title. It's the rocking chair. It says characters. Kara is a 12-year-old girl. Grandpa is Kara's grandfather. Grandma is Kara's grandmother. We have a scene. Scene 1. Oh, scene. That sounds familiar. This just all looks so familiar. These are called stage directions. And these are called character tags. And this is all of their dialogue. So I know that this is a drama. I'm going to look through the rest of the pages real quick, just see if I see any other different text features. I'm still just seeing character tags and dialogue and stage directions. Here's scene 2. That means that we change setting, if y'all remember that. Scenes are when we change settings. So more dialogue and stage directions. A new scene, so we're changing setting again, dialogue, stage directions, and there's our questions. So this is a drama, and if you remember, drama is fiction. And so you need to think about what things are fiction. What things do we think about when we are looking in fiction? And those things are plot, and plot is what happens in the story. You always want to think about characters, and they have that right here spelled out for you. You also want to think about setting, maybe about what theme is there, problems, conflicts, how they're resolved. So let's think about those things as we're making notes. So first of all, we've got characters. I wanted to make a note here that this is fiction. So scene 1. The curtain opens, showing the back of a house. Sounds like setting to me. Let's make a note, setting. An old rocking chair sits on the back porch. Grandpa and Kara walk out the back door of the house and onto the porch. Okay, so we know what's going on here. Grandpa: all right, Kara, now that our bellies are full of pancakes, it's time to work. Ooh, AM. It's morning. How do I know that? Because they just ate pancakes. Kara: work? I thought you said we were going to be doing something fun, Grandpa. Grandpa says, it is going to be fun. Kara says, well, what are we going to do? So I'm just going to make a note here that Kara is spending time with her grandpa, and you can notice that I shorthanded with and I shorthanded grandpa. Grandpa says, see whether you can guess, and he points toward the rocking chair. What's wrong with this picture? I don't know. Is there something wrong with the chair? I'm gonna question this right here. Something wrong with the chair? Kara says, I don't know. Grandpa says, see that? This is what happens when you ignore something. Okay, so somebody was ignoring the chair, I'm thinking in my head. Grandpa nods his head and looks at the rocking chair, giving Kara a hint. Kara says, Grandma's rocking chair? So they said they were going to do something fun. It's also going to be work. Grandma's rocking chair. So work on Gma's chair is my guess at this point. So please make sure as you're going over your assignments that you are making annotations just like this. I'll give you just a second, or you can pause the video and you can go ahead and get your notes written for this page if you don't already have them. So again, pause it. I'm going to go ahead and turn the page if you haven't gotten all of these notes. And okay, Grandpa says, correct. The paint has been chipping for years. This chair was yellow, but you'd never know it. The wood is splintering. And what about this? He shows Kara. This piece is cracked and about to break. Imagine your grandmother sitting down and having the seat collapse. Oh no, that would not be good. That's dangerous. Dangerous. Let's see. So it's an old chair. And I think my guess was right. It sounds like maybe they're going to redo it. This is underlined, which means you need to know what collapse means. So be thinking about what you think collapse means. Okay, you can make yourself a note. Kara, so let's go buy a new one to replace this old piece of junk. So she wants an easy fix, right? Let's go buy a new one. Grandpa says, now, the chair may be old, but it's no piece of junk. We're not going to go buy a new one. You and I are going to fix this old rocker. So ding, ding, my inference was correct. So I'm going to make a note. Grandpa wants to fix chair themselves. Okay, so Kara says, fix it. Grandpa says, that's right, with our own hands. With our own 2 hands, our own 4 hands. It'll be a great surprise for your grandmother. I have all the supplies we need in the garage. Kara says, seriously? No offense, Grandpa, but that thing belongs in the garbage. And I think Grandma would love to have one of those nice rocking chairs they sell at Dee Dee's Designs. You know, a thought that comes to me here is this is the difference. I'm going to put DIFF period. Difference between BTWN. Difference between young and old. He wants to restore the old chair, and Kara just wants to go buy a new one. So I'm just making myself a note that they're showing a difference there between young and old people. So Grandpa shakes his head, so he doesn't agree with her, right? There's no reason to purchase a new one when we can fix the one that we have. Besides, this is your grandmother's favorite chair, so it'll be better than a new chair. Kara's still doubtful. If you say so. Grandpa says, come on, and he lifts up one side of the chair. In fact, you know what? I want to make a note here. Doubtful, and I want to put doesn't believe G-Paw. Okay, remember we always want to make notes about how characters are feeling. That is something that drives the plot in our fiction story. So we always want to note how characters are feeling. And I just underlined this to kind of prove my note right there. So Grandpa says, come on, and he lifts up one side of the chair. Help me carry this into the garage. Kara picks up the other side of the chair. The two carry it stage left as the curtain closes. So then we go to scene 2, guys, which means we're going to have a setting change. So you need to make sure that when you get to another scene that you note the setting change. So the curtain opens. Kara and Grandpa are working on the chair. There you go, inside the garage. So they're in the garage now. Kara sands the wood and Grandpa hums happily as he works on replacing the cracked piece. Well, I just told you right here you need to note how characters are feeling. So the fact that he hums happily, it kind of reminds me, I'm kind of making a personal connection here, but my dad has been helping me a lot on my house that I just bought, and we enjoy our time so much together. And so I know that he's humming happily because parents like to be with kids. And Grandpa is a parent to a grandchild, so I'm just going to make parents like to be with kids. So he's enjoying his time, you know, spending it with his granddaughter. So Kara says, is this good enough, Grandpa? So maybe she's starting to buy into this whole fixing the rocking chair thing since she wants it to be good enough. Just kind of a thought in my head. I'm going to go ahead and give you just a second. Make sure you get all these notes. Again, go ahead and pause this if you need to catch up on notes and get those written down. I hope you already have some notes written on your own, but these are just some things that I was thinking about as I'm going through. So pause this if you need it. I'm going to go ahead and change the page over. So Kara just asked, is this good enough, Grandpa? So Grandpa feels the wood. Almost. We want it smooth, and we don't want to see a speck of paint. He goes back to work. Kara sighs. My hands hurt. This is taking forever. Okay. Maybe her attitude about this hasn't changed. So I'm gonna put that she's complaining. Complaining. When we complain, we're usually not happy. Grandpa says, more sanding, less whining. So that's cute. They've got a cute little relationship there. Kara says, we should just buy a new chair. That's what most people do when things get old. They replace them. Grandpa says, I'm not most people. Kara says, very funny, Grandpa. You know, when we just have an easy fix, we're kind of impatient. So I'm going to make a note here that Kara is impatient. I am characterizing her there. Just notes you need to be taken. So Grandpa right here says, I think you'll find we'll end up with a better chair this way. One that will make your grandmother very happy. Aha! Look at this. So he's going to show her something. And the stage directions say, Grandpa places the new piece of wood securely in the chair. If you don't know what securely means, you need to look that up, okay? It means it fits in there well. It's not going to be loose. It's going to stay. He proudly shows off his work. Oh, I love that. Grandpa is proud. I'm going to make a little note about that. Kara, it's a perfect fit. Grandpa says, yes, it is. Let's finish sanding. He grabs a piece of sandpaper, and helps Kara. When your dad was a boy, this chair needed some attention too. He and I worked on it for your grandmother. I love that. Kara says, wow, I didn't know this thing was that old. Ha ha. Make a note to the side that Grandpa worked on chair with Kara's dad. So this is obviously her dad's dad. That's really neat little connection there. So Kara says, wow, I didn't know this thing was that old. Grandpa says, yes, and see how long it's lasted? Kara says, I guess you and Dad did a good job. Grandpa nods. And your dad picked out the yellow color. Now it will be your turn to choose the color for Grandma's chair. Kara feels the chair. It's nice to know we fixed it ourselves. Ooh, okay. I am going to put a little note here. I do think her attitude is starting to change. Kara's attitude changing. You need to be able to recognize that, guys, when a character has a change of heart, change of mind, any of that kind of stuff. When you're reading any passage, anything in life, you need to recognize that. This is not about the STAAR test, but I will let you know that on the STAAR test, especially as you go up in years, they're going to be asking you about character change and about how it affects the story. They do even ask that in 4th grade. So make sure you're paying attention to character feelings and attitudes. So it's nice to know we fix it ourselves. Is it ready to be painted? Grandpa says, yep, the chair looks great. It's time for you to pick the color. So that's a nice little note that we're going to put here. Kara gets to pick new color. Okay, so make sure that you have got these notes down or you have something similar. Go ahead and pause this recording if you need to get caught up. That way I can go ahead and turn the page and we can move on. Last page, kiddos. So Kara says, let's paint it blue and make the black rails yellow to remind Grandma of the way it was before. Grandpa says, great idea. curtain closes. So blue and yellow. I'm just gonna make a note out here to the side. So we have a new scene. That means we're gonna change setting. It says the curtain opens. Grandpa is admiring the rocking chair on the porch. If you don't know what admiring means, that's a word you would need to look up. Admiring is definitely a positive word. So Grandpa is admiring the rocking chair. Well, he just put all this work into it. He's looking at it fondly, okay? He likes it. Kara enters the porch from the back door of the house. So they are back at the porch. I'm going to put porch again because that's where they started out, I'm pretty sure. Kara says, Grandma's coming. What does that exclamation point show, guys? It shows excitement. So I'm going to put excited. Grandpa says, all right, let's surprise her. Grandpa leans up against one of the porch posts, hiding the chair from view. He gestures for Kara to stand by him. So he's wanting to hide it, wanting to surprise Grandma. Grandma from inside says, hello, where is everyone? Kara says, we're out here, Grandma. So you can definitely tell there was an attitude change. She really appreciates, that they kept that old rocking chair. Kara and Grandpa exchange a smile as Grandma walks out onto the porch. Woo! They are both excited. I'm just going to have to put another note that they are excited to surprise Grandma. Grandma says, well, what are you two doing? Oh, nothing much, Grandpa says. Kara says, yeah, nothing much. Grandma says, nothing much. I don't believe that. Grandpa and Kara exchange a look. The two separate, revealing the rocking chair. Grandma stares at it. I'm going to write a note here, revealing, showing, I feel like, because they were standing in front of it and then they separate. Well, if they were standing in front of something and then they separate, then it would show it. So I'm going to make that little note there. Grandma says, oh my, it's beautiful. Kara says, we did it for you, Grandma. We did it with our own 4 hands. So Grandma is happy, and that was the goal. So right here, you may want to write yourself what you think the theme is. Think about the problem. The problem was really that Kara wasn't excited to work on the rocking chair, and that changed when she started seeing that it really was a good thing that they did. So think about your conflict, think about your resolution, think about how that might tie into a theme statement. And I want you to make sure that you write that down before you go to us going over the questions. I'm going to make a separate video for the questions. See y'all in just a minute.